Hey everybody, welcome to comics class. My name is Brandon Pallas, and I'm here to teach you everything I know about drawing comics. Today we are continuing with our Simplified Anatomy series and covering the anatomy of the upper arm. Initially, I was planning on doing the whole arm in this lesson. I was already planning. Well, I wanted to do the whole arm, and then as I was kind of going through getting prepared, I realized that it just was too much. Like the upper arm is fairly simple. There's really only a handful of muscles, but the forearm is very complicated, and trying to mash it all into one session just seemed like too much. So we're going to do the upper arm today. I had already been planning on splitting the leg into two sections, so we'll just keep it consistent. Yeah, we'll get into that. But first, let's go ahead and do some warm-ups. So we'll get started as we usually do with some C curves. Let me take a look at the streams of our students here, see how everybody's doing. I'm just going to do, right now I'm just going to try to keep them fairly consistent. And I'm just going to do a bunch one direction, and then I'm going to do a bunch the other direction. All right. Go this way. I see Ren has the interlocking C curves today. Those are a nice trick. When we get into design principles and stuff like that, there's going to be a lot of use for this stuff. Now I'm going to do what's harder for me and go up rather than down. These are kind of short ones too. Short ones and long ones are kind of different. It's a different sort of movement with your hand and your arm. So it's nice to practice all different kinds of ways. And then I'm going to do some horizontal ones. These are not too bad, going left to right. I'm left-handed, so this is kind of the normal, well, I guess for everybody. We're all used to writing left to right, so it shouldn't be. I don't mean everybody in the world, I mean us English speakers. Do some right to left. These ones are a little more awkward for me. Okay. Got Leapbird streaming now too. Take a look. Nice stuff. A few more. All right, and then let's switch and do the same with the old S curves. All right, and then I will, let's see, start them the other direction. Now I'll go up. It's so interesting seeing how your hand just tends to make a different line because it's a different direction.
Mine's a different line every time.
Yeah, that too. And up the other direction. Oof. And now some horizontals. Going to the left. I'll do, I'm not sure what to call these. S-curves, reverse S-curves. I mean, it's all an S-curve, but you know, doing the line the opposite, curving the opposite way. Go right to left. Woof. These are some bad ones. It's all right. That's why we do it. That's probably my worst line. And then the reverse, right to left. All right. That ought to do it for that. And let's see. Now let's do a little bit of these C-curve squiggles and just kind of run it along across your page there. Vary the angle, kind of go back and forth. You know, I'm doing these like curving, pushing out toward the right, now pushing out toward the left, and just kind of switch back and forth between those. You can vary your, I guess if this were like a sound wave, you'd call it the amplitude, the height. You can vary the width, make it sort of stretch out. I just personally feel that it's really valuable to train your lines like this, and then when you're drawing, especially when you're inking, you can just kind of break it down to executing lines. You know, you've got your underdrawing, everything kind of all excuse me, everything kind of all mapped out, and then when it comes time to put the inks on top, you can kind of just one after the other just identify, okay, that's a C curve, execute that C curve, that's an S curve, execute that S curve. And it just comes out, it ends up being really efficient. I know probably not everybody watching this is interested in inking specifically, but I'm sure that principle can apply in a lot of ways. Take a look at the student work here. All right, that's looking good, Ren. Looking good, Kana. And looking good, Leaf Bird. Yeah, good stuff, guys. Okay, so now last one, we'll do these little loopy squiggles. And just kind of run all the way across the page with those. I kind of like to do one pass where I try to keep it fairly consistent. Go back. And then we'll do another pass where we try to switch it up. And you can kind of swing these a little, you know, like the way we were doing, I'm getting some ugly stuff here. Like the way we were doing with the C curves and the S curves. No, we didn't do S curves, we just did C curves. Okay, that's not working out for me. Let's start over.
That's what mine are looking like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's interesting here doing these because I am kind of trying different things than I necessarily normally do. Um, and it's interesting seeing like how bad some of my efforts are here because I just haven't really done it. So, you know, it's that got really weird right there. A few more, and then we'll move on to the lesson. All right, that ought to do it. Have us all nice and warmed up. Okay, so today we're doing the upper arm. I'm going to do a quick recap of some of the stuff we've done before because we do want to make sure that we're tying all of the different parts of the body together effectively, that we like understand how everything fits together. And we've already covered the neck and shoulder area and the torso, both front and back. So the arm, ties right into both of those areas. So I'm going to start with a, let's see, with just a basic mannequin. One gesture line for the length of the body, hips in the middle, right in the center of that line. Put the shoulder line 2/3 of the way up. Head's going to take up 2/3 of that top space. Put a line right in the middle between that shoulder and hip line for the waistline. Legs will come down here. We're not going to deal with those today. So I'll put a little bit of mass for the torso. We'll put in those acromion process bony landmarks here. These are going to be important. We already know that from when we dealt with the shoulders. I'll put in the neck here, column of the neck, sternocleidomastoid muscles. Kind of makes a nice little M there, which is cool. We got the pit of the neck here. Bring those trapezius out there. I'll put in the pectoral muscles a bit here. Vault of the rib cage, and that ought to really be enough because everything is going to build off of this area here. We've already, let's see, okay. The upper arm bone, the humerus, is just about the same length. If the arm is hanging straight down, it lands at the right at the waistline. That's where the elbow is, where the end of the upper arm bone. I'm going to have this sticking out a bit, so it's going to kind of swing up that way a little bit. And then we already did the deltoid, but since the deltoid is so tied into the upper arm, it really is part of the upper arm, we're going to do some refresher on that. We're going to deal with that today. So the deltoid extends halfway down the humerus. It wraps the upper portion. It kind of wraps around that acromion process. We've got the front deltoid here and the side deltoid, the lateral deltoid. The rear isn't going to show from here, but we'll deal with that later. So that's a recap. We've seen all this before. And from here, we're going to go into the new material, which, let's go. So I'm going to start by just building a little bit of mass onto this arm, just so I kind of have. I feel like it's good to start the arms and the legs too, I guess, just by building a little bit of basic mass. That's going to kind of be like a baseline for all the muscles. So the upper arm. Let me start over here. We've got the deltoid, which is 3 heads. Technically all one muscle, but it's kind of separated into 3 separate chunks. Front, middle, medial, and rear. And then we've got the elbow down here, the joint, and put that mass on. Okay, so probably the most famous muscle of the arm is the biceps. Biceps literally means 2 heads. This is a muscle with 2 heads, much like the deltoid has 3 heads. The biceps has 2 heads, although we usually don't really see them. It does kind of appear as one muscle. You can, if someone is extremely lean and muscular, you might be able to see a little definition between the 2 of them. But mostly it looks like one muscle, kind of, except at the very top, maybe where it starts to run up underneath the deltoid. So we got the bicep there, which comes down and it turns to tendon toward the bottom here and attaches to the forearm bone so that it can like move the forearm bone. The bicep flexes, it pulls the forearm up. We've also got in the back the triceps. I always say, I often say it, bicep, tricep, singular. Most people do. Technically, it's always got to have an S on the end. There's no such thing as a bicep. There is the biceps. There is the triceps. But that's kind of pedantic. All right, so tricep. I'm not sure if I'm doing a great job demonstrating this right here. I might need to.
You're doing great.
Thanks, friend. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna draw for a little bit, and I'll just kind of point stuff out as we go. So, here's an arm. Here's the front and lateral deltoid. Acromion process is going to be right there. This is going to be, we're looking at this arm from kind of the inside. Here is the biceps, a sort of long, almost like tube-like muscle that as the arm bends, it like flexes and bulges in the middle. It's got a tendon here that extends to the forearm. And then on the other side, we've got the tricep, which is kind of a horseshoe shape. Now we're looking at the back of the arm, okay? The tricep has a kind of flat area on the back that's mostly tendon, although there is kind of muscle under there. And it's got two heads that protrude in the back. And when these are the muscles that extend your arm. When you stick your arm out straight, you can feel your tricep muscles flexing. Here's the elbow, forearm muscles kind of coming out. Excuse me, deltoid up here. So the tricep on the back of the arm. Do another one. Here's just a kind of a circle for the deltoid. I'll do a flexed arm here. So we're going to have, just go ahead and rough in that deltoid a little bit. Here we're going to have, I'll put that mass. The deltoid is going to, or the tricep. Now here the arm is flexed, so the bicep is going to be bulging. But it doesn't bulge along the whole length like this because there's a tendon part here that doesn't like flex. So when the bicep is flexed, there will be this little kind of gap before you hit the elbow. Tricep is going to be kind of extended. It's going to reach down to kind of, here's where we're getting into the funny stuff about how the upper arm and the lower arm are really tied together. So the upper arm bone, it's kind of like that. And then we've got the ulna, which is like the bone of the elbow and whatnot, and then the radius, which is the other arm. These are not great drawings of the bones, but this is the smaller bone that's on the thumb side of the arm. And so right here on the sides of the upper arm bone, there is what is called the condyles of the elbow. And those are bony landmarks as well as the elbow. If you feel your own elbow right now, you can feel the elbow, and then on either side of the elbow, you can feel the bones sticking out. And those are where a lot of your muscles are going to connect. The tricep muscles are going to kind of run down like right to there and then come behind and all kind of connect at the elbow. Whoops, that's way out of the frame. They're all going to kind of connect at the elbow there. And then we're going to have all these forearm muscles that we're going to deal with next week. I'm not really going to talk about them, but I am going to talk about one of them because it runs up onto the upper arm and we're going to have to deal with it. I'll talk about that in a minute. But so right now we've got the tricep. I made it a little too like flexed. When the arm is flexed like this, the tricep is going to stretch out. So we got the tricep there, we got the bicep, and then there's one more muscle. It's a weird it's almost like a secret muscle. I don't think most people know about it. Called the brachialis. And it lies between the tricep and like underneath. It's on the front of the upper arm bone, and it lies underneath the biceps, and it assists the biceps in curling the arm and flexing the arm. But the biceps runs all the way up here, up under the tricep up under the deltoids to the top of the upper arm bone of the humerus. One side of the biceps does, and then the other head runs to a bony protrusion on the underside of the scapula of the shoulder blade called the coracobrachialis, which is not important to know, but it can be important to know that you don't need to know the hold on, let me make sure I got that right, even though I'm telling you right now that okay, no, the coracobrachialis is a muscle. I got that wrong. We'll cover that later. It's the coracoid process. Is this weird finger-like protrusion underneath the shoulder blade. So let's see. Let me go back to this original mannequin I was building. We've got the deltoid there. We've got the. I'm going to make different colors so that we can sort of see. Okay, we've got the biceps here. This arm is not flexed, so the bicep is kind of stretched out. It's just like a tube. In the back, I'm going to put the tricep kind of flexing, bulging out up here. Most of the tricep, the part that really flexes and bulges is situated more like higher up the arm, and down more down here, it doesn't really flex. So if you flex your tricep, you'll feel it get hard, but it won't like bulge out really. So there's all of that. And then right in between here, and it's actually, it's underneath the biceps, but it kind of goes like this, and it attaches all along the front of that bone there, and it extends across the joint to the forearm. But like I said, it's largely hidden by the biceps, and you'll only see it kind of bulge out on the side, like right here.
Is this the brachialis that you're talking about now?
Yes,
this is the tricep.
This is the brachialis, yeah. So
Okay.
when you look at the arm from the side, this is just going to be a kind of a stylized representation. It's almost like this weird sandwich with the biceps in front, the brachialis kind of popping up. This is one you won't see much on most people, but if someone's very muscular, you'll see it. The brachialis kind of popping up in the middle there, and then the triceps with this. There's the long head and the short head of the triceps. I'm gonna have to look it up real quick to make sure I understand which one is which, because it's not really intuitive. Okay, it looks like the long head is the one that is what do you call it? Well, the one that's closer to the body. It's on the inside of the arm, not the outside of the arm. So let me do I'll just sketch another arm in here. So from the back, we'll see there's this horseshoe shape. It's kind of structured like this. Put some shading on the bottom edge there. So we've got the long head of the triceps, which is near the near the ribs, runs down like this, kind of behind those condyles of the arm that I talked about, and everything all connects to the elbow there. The short head of the triceps, which is the outer one, and it's a little thinner generally. The long head is thicker. The short head is thinner, and it's on the outside. It does the same thing. It kind of sends this strap down behind the condyles and to the elbow, and then you have this whole area, which is another head of the tricep, but it's mostly, if you look at an anatomy drawing or whatever, this is all white because it's all fascia. There's muscle underneath, but it's mostly just a big like strap of connective tissue. And so this is a view from behind. We might see the brachialis poking out there a little bit, and then we would get all those forearm muscles and stuff that we'll deal with later. If anyone has any questions about any of this or feels like it isn't clear, please go ahead and speak up. I will do a couple more just basic drawings, and then we'll go and start looking at the reference. So this is going to be an arm, looking at it like from the inside. So there's the acromion process. Deltoid is going to kind of extend out from there. It's also going to, this is the front deltoid, it's going to connect along that collarbone. We're going to get the pectoral muscles kind of coming out from underneath that deltoid. And then here's the biceps extending out toward that joint, the little tendon here reaching across to the bone so that it has some leverage to lift the arm. On the back side here, we'll have the tricep, and let me put those condyles in. Let's say these are the condyles on either side of the elbow. The tricep is going to kind of run behind there. And then on the inside here, this is where we'll see the mass of the brachialis. If you flex your own arm, you can probably feel it there on the inside. And then I mentioned the coracobrachialis before. That I had it confused with the coracoid process, but there's a reason I got them confused. It's not just because the name sounds the same; it's because they are closely related. There is a little muscle that runs to the about to the middle of the upper arm bone, the humerus, and it runs kind of through the armpit. And I'm just going to put a little, it's kind of like this, and it runs up through the armpit and to a protrusion on the scapula, on the shoulder blade. So there's that. We got the tricep there. Oops, color. And then as for insertions and everything, there we've got the all these muscles of the back that we talked about before, the teres major, minor, the what do you call it, the latissimus. So those are all going to run underneath the triceps. So if we go back to this one, we've got the deltoid there. We've got the triceps coming right out from underneath the deltoid. And then all of these back muscles are going to run underneath the triceps there. So hopefully we'll see that stuff on the reference when we get there. Let's see. I'm going to do one more drawing. Upper arm, lower arm. Okay. Deltoid. Make it wrap around that acromion process. Here's the front deltoid, side deltoid. All right. Biceps. triceps, running behind that, running behind those condyles. And then the one muscle that I wanted to talk about, and I'm not really going to show it that much, but I just want you guys to be aware that it's there, is this muscle on the top side of the forearm called the brachioradialis. It runs brachii, whatever. The Latin for that means arm. And so I believe that's right. But so the brachioradialis, it comes from the arm, from this part of the arm anyway, down to the radius, which is that small bone of the forearm that rotates around the large bone. But this bone, or this muscle, let's see, back to this one. All right. Make sure I got all of this stuff. The brachioradialis runs over both the biceps and the brachialis, and it kind of tucks underneath that like little extended leg of the triceps. And we'll deal with the rest of that stuff later, but I just want to point out that there's this bit of muscle. It'll be like right there on this arm. Let's see. Okay, right here I kind of drew it in. We've got the brachialis there, we've got the biceps there, and then it runs over those two and then tucks underneath the triceps. So hopefully that is a good explanation, and we will go ahead and move on to the reference. If you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to speak up.
Yeah. Brandon, what was the little armpit muscle called again? I missed the name for it.
That is the coracobrachialis.
Okay.
Because it brachialis because of, it has to do with the arm, and coraco because I don't know what that means, but there's the coracoid process on the underside of the scapula, which is like a weird little like finger that sticks out. It's really kind of crazy to look at. Like for some reason it makes me uncomfortable when I look at it. Anyway, okay, so we'll go ahead and move into the reference. So let's start with, here we have, we can see the biceps. And as you can see, it's two heads, very clearly. This has got it nice and easily separated by color. And we can see how this one head, it runs over this little divot in the upper, part of the humerus, whereas this one runs over here and connects to, I believe, to the shoulder blade. So we got these two heads running up, running up this way. But like I said, it's most of the time you're going to deal with it as one kind of lump. And then if a person is really lean and muscular, you may up at the top start to see a little separation there, or even a little separation down here where it turns to tendon and ligament and stuff. Let's see. Okay, over here we've got a view of the back side of the arm. We can see the medial border of the scapula here, spine of the scapula. You can see the rear deltoid, medial deltoid extending off of those. Let's see. So there's the tricep. Look at all this, how it all just turns to the fascia here. But we've got these two kind of heads that send this kind of leg down on either side. All of this attaches to the elbow there. We got all of this fascia here. Here we can see both the brachialis and the triceps, or biceps. And we can also see that brachioradialis running over the biceps and the brachialis and kind of slipping underneath the border of the triceps there. So there's that. Let's see. We got a few more anatomy drawings here. Okay. Here we can see that coracobrachialis there. It just runs, it connects to the arm down here somewhere. And it just runs like on the underside. You really, you see this when the arm is up, it kind of runs right into the armpit and goes back to the shoulder blade. We'll see that on some of the models that we look at. Here's the biceps, two heads, but you know, like I said, they mostly operate as one. Turns to tendon down here. So this is instructive. Like, look at this white tendon bit. This bit will never bulge. It will always, it'll pop up because, so like if the arm is like this and it's got the tendon reaching to like over here, and then if the arm is like this, the tendon is going to reach like over there, right? Or something like that. So we will see it kind of pop up away from the bone a little bit, but it will be a hard little like straight line for the most part. So there's that. We can see the brachialis, how it's broader than the biceps. It doesn't go up as high. It probably only comes up about to here on the arm. But it, let's see, here it is too. We can see right there. It says brachialis. So it's broader and it spreads out a little beyond the borders of the biceps. Here's the brachioradialis that I talked about, and it's kind of looping over. It'll go in front of the triceps there. Alrighty, so this one here. Get a different color. This one here, we see the front deltoid attaching on the front of that collarbone. We see the biceps. Right there is the coracobrachialis. Here we've got some of those back muscles. I guess, I'm not sure if that's the lats or the teres, but you can see that it inserts underneath the triceps, which extends back this way. This is all drawn as muscle, but there's the tendon. There's some brachialis there. Over here, deltoid again, biceps turning to tendon, brachioradialis reaching past those two muscles that curl the arm, and looping underneath, or like slipping underneath the tricep there. Let's see. Actually, I don't like this anatomy drawing much. I don't think it's that useful. Let's see. Okay. Here, deltoideus. That's a weird way of saying it. Okay, so we've got the deltoid again, connecting along that spine of the scapula. We've got the triceps. We can see how, let's see, we can see that tendon. We can see the legs kind of extending down, and then there's this like horseshoe shape. And often when you draw the arm, I often kind of draw it like, you can think of it as like an elongated cylinder, like a kind of a flattened cylinder, or like a kind of a couple of flattened cylinders, like a little sandwich almost, with like just like a kind of a clamp on top with these little legs that run down. I hope that makes sense, calling this a clamp. You know, like a little like sort of C-shaped structure kind of parked on top of the arm there in the back. All right, let's see. Here we can see again the teres major and minor running underneath the delta or the triceps, and kind of connecting, not in the armpit, but like along the like underside, inside of the arm there. So the triceps is always going to be like behind all that stuff, and it's only underneath the deltoid. All right, so let's move on to some of these human models. This woman's pretty buff here. Let's see, get a good color for this. All right, so we see the deltoid as usual. We don't need to go into too much detail there. We see, you can really see the kind of horseshoe shape of the triceps there. And she doesn't have a lot of separation between the two heads, but you can see this bulge as it kind of like flares out and then comes down to this tendinous area. We don't see a lot of the muscles of the front of the arm so much, but we know they're there, and then we can see the coraco or the brachioradialis right here, kind of coming up, insinuating itself between the brachialis and the front of the triceps there. Right. Let's see. All right, let's just go straight to some like buff bodybuilder dudes. These kind of guys are good because you can see all the muscles really clearly, but also like this is the far end of the bell curve on what human beings actually look like, so it's not necessarily that useful for our purposes a lot of the time, but it depends. And if you are going to be drawing, comic books or, video game stuff or whatever, you're probably drawing a lot of absurdly buff people, so this helps. All right, so we got front deltoid here, medial deltoid, all of this kind of coming to about the mid-arm. We got a big muscular bicep here, and you can kind of see, here's the brachioradialis, and you don't see a lot of separation necessarily, but you can sort of see the bulge of the brachialis there. This tucks, in front of the brachialis and biceps, and in front of or underneath the tricep, which here we've got that bulge, and then the tendinous part here with these legs that kind of reach down. Right here, let me just turn that off real quick so we don't have to get rid of it. But right in here, you see this dark area. This is the condyle of the elbow, like I was talking about, that bony landmark elbow down here, and then we've got right here where all of these muscles start to branch off it. The tricep runs kind of right behind it, tucks behind it. So let me bring all that back. And let's see, over here, this guy's so buff that like a lot of these muscles all kind of start to blend together, but here's the front deltoid. You can see the bicep here, and then right here we can kind of see the coracobrachialis. It's hard to see the separation, but you can kind of tell. You can see the back muscles running up underneath the triceps there. Here's the tricep extending down, coming back behind the condyles, covering the back of that upper arm. There's the bulge of the triceps. In here, we can see the brachialis pretty clearly. It does, I think, tend to show more clearly on the inner arm than on the outer arm, but that varies. All right. Here's another guy. Got that front deltoid, pectoralis sticking out there, biceps, coracobrachialis, pretty clear right there. We can see that right here. Can't really see any definition of the brachialis, but we know it's there. Tricep running down. We can see that condyle there. Triceps runs behind that condyle. And then this tendon, we'll kind of cover this more when we get to the lower arm, the forearm. Man, I'm glad I didn't try to do the whole arm today because that would have been way too much. There's this kind of internal muscle here and this external muscle here. And this biceps tendon just kind of inserts in between them. So we'll see more of that. Okay, let's see. This lady here, she's pretty muscular, and some of these pictures, it's really obvious. But here, this arm is kind of relaxed. We don't see a ton of definition, but I wanted to get that as well, so we could see, just kind of come to understand where these muscles are, even if we can't necessarily see all of them. So there's the deltoid, triceps. We can see the influence right there of that short head. All of this coming back down behind. We can see the condyle there too, right there. So this, it kind of comes like right to the condyle, and everything kind of goes behind it. So we've got that. Biceps here, you can see the brachioradialis. You don't see it up here really, but you can see its influence right there, and it would be running to there, and then the brachialis would be like right about there. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, here's another one where we can see, here's the, we got the rear deltoid. You can see this long, all here is this long like insertion of the triceps kind of up under the deltoid, and then we can even see some of those back muscles coming up underneath the triceps, elbow, all of this stuff kind of coming down. Let's see, coming down behind those condyles. We would have the brachioradialis reaching right there. I guess I don't know if what we're seeing there is tricep or if it's a little bit of the biceps and brachialis coming in. Okay, let's see. This guy, another big buff guy. Front deltoid, kind of merging into the pectorals there, which kind of will happen. Lateral deltoid, big old bicep. Right here is a good example of where the end of that muscular area ends, and it turns into this tendinous area right there. You can see this flat little hard tendon. So as I have to turn it every time I make a bicep line. It's hard to make that line normally. Okay, so bicep, and then right there kind of is the coracobrachialis. You can kind of see a little bit. In here we can see a bit of the brachialis, and then of course there's that long head of the triceps kind of reaching down behind those condyles and to the elbow. We got those back muscles, the deltoid, or the lats and the teres, kind of coming up underneath and ending up kind of right in that like groove along the inner arm. Let's see what else we got. Okay. This one again. We can see a lot of good stuff here. Front deltoid, lateral deltoid, we've got the biceps, and right here is actually a cool example where you can kind of start to see how it's two separate heads. Just a little bit, just like a hint of it. It's not like a really clear cut, but you can see from the shadows that it kind of comes like this, and there's that tendon up there. Coracobrachialis over here, tricep coming from behind, a little bit of brachialis right there. Tricep runs down the inside. That pretty much ought to do it for that one. If there's any questions, please go ahead and speak up as usual. Let's see. Okay, this guy has a fairly bulging brachialis. This is one of the instances where we can actually see the brachialis pretty well. So it's right there. We can see the coracobrachialis, kind of the border of it looping right over it. Bicep, deltoids. Look at the way the deltoid loops. This is, well, deltoid's part of the upper arm, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of that stuff today. Look at the way it kind of loops around that, what do you call it? Acromion process, yeah. That bony landmark there. Triceps running down behind. Alrighty.
Oh, so Brandon, does the deltoid, does that attach to the humerus kind of like with the bicep splitting around it? Or how exactly does that attach to the bone?
Okay, so let me do a quick Google and see if I can find a anatomy drawing of some kind.
Yeah, because I see it has that very nice teardrop kind of shape, but I'm just curious as to how exactly it like goes under the other muscles, if it does.
Yeah, so let's see. Okay. I'm not really finding, you know what, we have a good one up here. So let me just go back to this one. So here you can see all of this deltoid stuff. It all just kind of comes, you can see the connection right there. This is where it like turns to ligament and stuff. And it attaches like on the outside of the upper arm bone. And
I'm just squeezing my own arms, trying to find like the attachment points in the tendons.
yeah, that can be tough. You know, it looks like it just kind of, I know that the tricep or the deltoid just kind of comes and it attaches right there on the upper arm. And the bicep comes from underneath. And I think the brachialis kind of picks up like right below it, kind of. But the brachialis is on the, if this is the bone, okay, and the tricep, let me change the color here, and the tricep or deltoid attaches on the outside here, the brachialis is kind of on the front side here. So there's kind of a little spot where the deltoid kind of plugs in sort of between it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Enough for simplified anatomy.
Yeah. I will admit that the brachialis is one muscle of the arm that I have a little less understanding of. I'm doing my best here, but that's actually a really good question. Right here, we can kind of see on this guy, we can see the brachialis. Oops. Brachialis branching out there. I think they tend to come to about the same place, but the deltoid attaches on the outside of the arm, whereas the brachialis kind of goes all on the like front here and underneath the biceps. So hope that helps. We'll go through some more some more reference and see if we can puzzle it out. All right, this guy, a little tough to see, but just go ahead and map that stuff out real quick. Deltoid coming to the middle there, bicep in front, brachialis on the side, tricep here. We've got that leg extending down to the elbow. We got that tendinous area in the back. We got that brachioradialis running over those that brachialis and tucking under the triceps. Okay, I do have some additional. I don't know how many examples we were going to get through. We're getting pretty close to the end here, but let's see. All right. This guy here, we can see, I'll just maybe point out a few specific things that I see. How come this is not? Oh, let's see. All right. So we got bicep. We got brachialis. We got coracobrachialis reaching into the armpit there. We got the back muscles kind of all reaching up into that center like divot area. We got the tricep behind there. There's that leg reaching down. Tricep taking up the whole like back of the upper arm. Here we can see a good example of the bicep inserting in between those two muscles of the forearm. See some brachialis right there, tricep. Let's see. Ooh, here's a cool, look at the shadow right here. You can really see that brachioradialis coming up. A little bit of brachialis right there. And yeah, my answer to you, and I will actually like research this further and get back to you personally on that. But it does seem that the deltoid, the brachialis kind of picks up right there where the deltoid attaches, I think. But yeah, don't quote me on that. Yeah, sorry, I don't have a perfect answer for you there. I wish I did. Wish I knew that myself. I will find it out. Yeah. All right. So you can see a little bit of that tucking behind the bicep or the tricep. Bicep. Don't really see a difference between the bicep and the brachialis there, but we know it's there. Let's see. Okay, we got some people here. She's cool because she is not big muscular, but she's lean, so we can still see all the definition. Okay. Deltoid and some pectorals there. We can see the coracobrachialis under there. We can see this bicep stretched out into just like a long tube. And we don't see any brachialis either, really. Maybe right there. I'm not sure. That might just be the long head of the triceps. I think that's what that is. But her arm is fully extended, so the brachialis isn't flexing at all, so we're not seeing it. Let's just get a few more. Okay, so this is a cool example where we really can see the two heads of the bicep. Look at that. We got this line right down the middle there. So biceps, we got the tendon there. A nice, like, real obvious separation where the muscular, like fibrous, the muscle fiber part of the bicep turns into the tendon. We can see the coracobrachialis in there. We can see some of the back muscles reaching up there. Tricep behind. And we know the brachialis is in here. We don't really see it. Like I said, like you don't see the brachialis by itself that much. You mostly see it on more muscular people. Let's see, this guy. This guy's ridiculous, gigantic peak bicep right there. Coracobrachialis running under there. Triceps, some brachialis right there. Obviously, we got the deltoids and everything. Okay, I put this woman in because she doesn't have much definition, but we can still kind of puzzle this stuff out. So here's the deltoid. We got the biceps. You can see again the muscle, the biceps, and its tendon inserting in between these two sort of mounds of muscle of the forearm. It's actually made up of a lot of different muscles down here, but they kind of separate into a couple of primary like muscular bulges. In here, we're going to see some brachialis. There's a little bit of the tricep showing behind. We have the coracobrachialis reaching into the armpit there. All right. What else? It's probably enough big bodybuilder dudes. Let's see. This woman again, you can really see, I mean, this looks kind of weird, the way this is sticking out right here. This is the condyles of the elbow. She's very slender, so her elbow actually, protrudes. The muscles or the bones on the side of the elbow actually protrude more than most of the like flesh of her arm. Okay. Deltoid. Yeah, so we're actually kind of seeing the top of the arm here. There's the little bit of the tricep, bicep reaching in there. Coracobrachialis is in there somewhere. Brachialis in here, tricep in there. And let me see what else we got. Okay, this is a good angle, but it's maybe a little tough to figure. This is actually kind of cool though. We see right here the acromion process, and we can see since her arm is really stretched very strongly backward, this deltoid is getting crunched up in interesting ways. We can see the rear deltoid right there, the medial, and then the front deltoid stretched way out. Here we got the elbow. There's the condyle, tricep. We've got that leg extending down. Fibrous tissue back there. We don't really see any of this, but we'll go ahead and put in the bicep. We'll go ahead and put in a little bit of the brachialis. We'll go ahead and put in that brachioradialis there. Let's see. Here we can again see the bicep extending down and kind of burying itself in between the muscle masses of the forearm. Here, we don't see much muscle definition, but we can see this like core shadow here gives us a lot of information actually, and we can really see the coracobrachialis. No, that's the brachioradialis. These names are ridiculous. Reaching, crossing that elbow joint and reaching into the upper arm. Brachialis there, biceps there. And let me see, is there anything? Here we can see just basic deltoid stuff. We can see a little bit. See the tricep just kind of looping down with these like legs. They kind of they kind of go to the condyles there, but they kind of park behind the condyle, and everything back here is just this fibrous tendinous area. Um, that's going to be the brachioradialis right there. We would have the biceps and the brachialis on the front. So I'm just going to do another couple of little just basic drawings real quick. Just walk through it. I'll make a minimal mannequin so we can just have some context. Okay, arm, deltoids, coming to about halfway down the upper arm. We've got, let's see, I'll put some mass here for like the bones. Biceps kind of reaching down like that. Brachialis peeking out from behind the bicep. A little bit lower down, being a little broader. Triceps in the back, running down behind that condyle to the elbow. We would have the brachialis, brachioradialis, reaching up over those biceps and brachialis and tucking underneath the tricep there. We would have the rest of the inner arm there, or the lower forearm. Not going to deal with that right now. Let me see. I'll do one more. This one we'll do from the back. Put in the shoulder blade there. So neck, trapezius, C7 vertebrae. This is a little sloppy, I apologize. All right, rear deltoid coming off that shoulder blade about 2/3 of the way across the, attaching along the spine of the shoulder blade there. It's going to attach about halfway down the humerus. Got the lateral deltoid there. Tricep coming off in the back. Should build some mass there. Covering up that whole back area, kind of covering up that elbow. If you look at a anatomy drawing or like a cadaver drawing or like a cadaver pictures or whatever, you'll see that there's just a ton of thick connective tissue like covering all of this area back here. Okay, so long head of the tricep, short head, those little legs kind of extending down, biceps, brachialis, brachioradialis. Leave the rest of the forearm for next time. We're going to have those teres muscles inserting underneath there, the latissimus inserting underneath there, all kind of inserting into that that little pocket on the inside of the arm. And I guess that will about cover it, unless anyone has any other questions or comments. Homework today, as usual, just give me 10 upper arms. Make sure you draw. You don't have to do a whole figure, but draw enough of the mannequin so that you can kind of like have it connected to the surrounding structures of the body, so it's not just kind of floating randomly. Oh geez, okay, I see that to draw a simple block for the torso. Okay. Well, I missed a question from Kana that was from about 40 minutes ago, so I apologize, Kana.
That's okay.
I got to get better at looking at the chat. Yeah, so just for homework, give me 10 of these upper arms. Make sure you get different angles, get the arm, in different positions. Use reference, or don't use reference, or do it both ways. I think is probably the best to do. And like I said, kind of like what I'm doing here, right here, where you don't need to have the whole body or the whole mannequin, but put in enough of it enough of the surrounding structures that you at least can be certain about like where everything is kind of connecting. Um, and that should be it. So thank you very much, guys. And we'll come back next week and do the forearm, finish off the arm. Then we'll move on to the legs. Then we'll do the head, hands, and feet, and that'll be end of this series. So thanks a lot for coming, and I will see you guys next time.
Thanks, Brandon.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.